Hello and welcome to Money Markets and More with me, Dominic Frisby, and today we consider the coldest substance on Earth, which is, I knew you knew, liquid helium. I've been covering helium for several years and it is time to revisit the theme today. And the reason is I keep reading articles about helium shortages, and these have nothing to do with the controversial cryptocurrency of the same name, I might add. Bull markets come along every few years in some niche but strategically important commodity. I've seen it in cobalt, lithium, graphite, tin, phosphate, uranium, rare earth metals, many others besides. And the story's almost always the same. Years of underinvestment have led to a shortage of supply of the said commodity, government stockpiles are exhausted, and now, suddenly, the commodity is essential to some new technology. Cue the bull market. So, what do we need helium for, and why is there a shortage? Helium is the second most common element in the universe, so how can there be a shortage, you might think? You could say the same about hydrogen, the most common element. That's even more common. There may be plenty of it up there, but down here there isn't, and down here is where we need it. Nor is helium a huge market. Annual global demand is estimated around 6 billion cubic feet, or 170 million cubic metres. And it's hard to establish just what the current price is because prices tend to be agreed by contract between buyer and seller, and that information's not publicly disclosed a lot of the time. But Cliff Kane, who is the CEO of rare gas consultancy Edelgas Group, and that studies the market, consults with most of the companies operating it, he gives me the figure of $1,800 per million cubic feet. A year ago, the price was closer to $500, 3 or 4 times higher. The entire global market for bulk liquid helium is probably around $3 billion. It's not huge. Demand keeps growing though, mainly from the medical, tech and aerospace sectors. And it will keep growing, says Kane. Helium's 7 times less dense than air. If you replace the air in a hard drive with helium, there's less turbulence, the disks spin better, and so more disks can be packed into less space while consuming less power. And helium-filled hard drives increase capacity by about 50% and energy efficiency by about 25%. Thus, almost all high-quality data centres now use helium-filled high-capacity hard drives. It's also used in barcode readers, computer chips, semiconductors, LCD panels, and fibre optic cable. Another rapidly growing industry that's gobbling up helium is the space sector. Helium is used in fuel tanks for rockets and satellites, and physics also requires it in particle accelerators. Its low density means it also finds use in deep-sea diving, but perhaps its most essential use is as a coolant, especially for the magnets in MRI machines, magnetic resonance imaging machines. And they must be kept near absolute zero to maintain the magnet's quantum properties and not lose their potential. I gather that a typical MRI machine needs 2,000 litres of liquid helium. That's what I've read. As someone who's recently broken his ankle, and I only recently discovered that I broke my neck in my younger days, it was never properly diagnosed, I can tell you the importance of MRI machines and the diagnostic clarity they bring. There were some 38 million MRI examinations carried out in the US last year, and Forbes suggests helium shortages may be the world's next medical crisis. It says that given the importance of MRI in the medical profession, the helium crisis should be front and centre for politicians, policymakers, physicians, patients, and the general public to discuss and find sustainable solutions for. The scarcity of helium is a serious matter and affects all of us directly or indirectly. And then, of course, there's the other use that are the balloons. So where do we get helium from and why is its price going up? As Kane points out to me, if you are an aerospace company whose business relies on putting satellites in space, ideally as many as possible, or you're an MRI manufacturer whose business relies on selling MRI machines, you're not going to let helium shortages get in the way of your business. You're not going to stop producing the machines you produce. You're going to want to produce more and more of them. And so you will pay whatever price is necessary for the helium, and you will pass the cost on. Even if helium is rationed then, it would be the party balloons that don't get the allocation, not something as essential as MRI. Phones, computers, all modern life requires helium, says Kane. There is no substitute. Without it, we go back to the Stone Age. So helium... excuse me, I've got my bad back. Helium's produced as a byproduct of natural gas refining, and the world's largest producer is the United States, roughly 40% of supply, followed by Qatar, Algeria, Russia, and Tanzania. However, the world's largest single source of helium for the past 70 years has been the US National Helium Reserve. It recently stopped its supply. It's letting its staff go. The pressure's come off its pipelines. They're now at 700 psi when they need to be at 1200 to be producing, says Kane. And that entire system is now for sale, at least in theory. The paperwork has met with delays in the White House. It's going to take a long time to resolve, and we're not going to see any market until it does. Prospective buyers should also be aware of contaminated supplies and ongoing legal suits, and I'll put a link to that in the comments. Russian supply from the massive new Gazprom helium plant in the eastern city of Amur is also shut down. That's unlikely to see any production before the end of 2023. As Kane tells me, it relies on Western engineers, and the West is at present rather reluctant to send staff to Russia. In any case, Russia will struggle to sell much beyond China and Russia. In fact, Russia has the potential to become the world's largest producer, but it's Russia. There were 2 shutdowns in Qatar earlier in the year, though these have now reopened. And all in all, we have what has been dubbed helium shortage 4.0, the 4th worldwide helium shortage since 2006. As with helium shortages 1, 2 and 3.0, supply disruptions in a tiny industry have caused the upset. Kane isn't actually crazy about this idea of helium shortage 4.0. He says it's just the continuation of 2 and 3. It's a situation he describes as never ending. But put simply, the world needs new helium supply. The solution is to invest in prospective helium producers and developers, and there are plenty out there, 10, 20, but as with all natural resource companies, it's a question of separating the wheat from the chaff. 75% of them, says Kane, and I would agree, I think it's probably lower than that, are going to fail. Higher, I mean. I'm actually working on a special report for subscribers of the best companies in the sector, how to invest in them. That's going to follow in the next few days. If you're interested, keep your eyes out for that. That's going to be at my Substack, frisbee.substack.com. Special report on how to invest on helium and the best companies. Very interesting subject, tiny market, big opportunities. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. It's a cold winter's day. Not cold, quite cold autumnal day here in London. Please subscribe to the channel, as I said, to the Substack, and I'll be back with another podcast very soon. And now I'm going to put some heat pads on my back. I've done my back in, and I was showing off to my daughter how many pull-ups I can do, and I went over the top, and now I've done my back in. God, it hurts. Anyway, speak soon.